Discovery Channel, a Warner Bros. Discovery press release for Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch describes the location as a place marked by ancient secrets. The series is premised on landowners Duane and Chad Ollinger's quest to find up to $3 billion in Aztec gold that supposedly lies buried within the network of caves on their property. But their search is frustrated by poachers, weather, gas clouds, and the land itself. Or at least, that's how Discovery advertises the show. Additional mystery comes from the location's close proximity to the allegedly haunted Skinwalker Ranch and rumors among the locals that the spot is cursed by its hidden treasure, per Reality Tidbit. But how did a slice of Utah with ties to ghosts, gold, and UFOs end up with a name like Blind Frog Ranch? That same ranch isn't just the subject of a reality show. It's also a tourist attraction, and it explains its name on its official website. It turns out that when the Ollingers came into the property, their exploration of the caves was frustrated by flooding from a water plate. With the water came hundreds of frogs from the underground cavern system, frogs that had spent their entire lives away from sunlight. Brought to the surface, the frogs couldn't see the humans in their midst and would only move on touch. Duane Ollinger decided that the blind frogs would make for a good name for the ranch, as well as a good mascot. Benny the Bling Frog adorns ranch signs and merchandise. The amphibians that gave Blind Frog Ranch its name have cameos here and there on Discovery's reality series, and the Ollingers sometimes take the frogs as a sign they're on the right track via YouTube. It's unclear whether the new crops of frogs are blind like the ones in the ranch's founding story, and that tale may not hold up to much scrutiny. While it is true that many frog species spend some time underground or in caves, no known frog species spends its entire life away from the sun, per a 2013 study published in Subterranean Biology. If the frogs the Ollingers encountered on the day of their story really were blind, it likely wasn't because they had never encountered sunlight. Any visitors to Blind Frog Ranch looking to spot the place's namesake, blind or otherwise, will have more than one type of frog to watch out for. According to Wild About Utah, the most abundant species of frog in the state is the western chorus frog, though it and other native species like the northern leopard frog are struggling due to the introduction of American bullfrogs west of the Rocky Mountains. Bullfrogs are such aggressive and voracious eaters that other species are unable to compete for resources. Utah is also the northern limit of the range of the spadefoot frog, per Utah Division of Wildlife Resources. The story behind Blind Frog Ranch's name isn't the only thing about the ranch and its reality series to raise eyebrows. A number of viewers are convinced that Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch is staged, taking to Reddit to voice their opinions. One user cited an episode where the Ollingers found a gold nugget and a Spanish gold coin as particularly suspicious on account of the fake appearance of the gold. Others think the Ollingers and additional cast members in the series come off as actors. God, that was so scripted and fake. All seemed like just actors doing interviews. Not going to last, one user wrote. For their part, the Ollingers have made no public comment on whether Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch is staged, nor has anyone from the production end at Discovery. But Duane Ollinger did maintain in an interview with Hollywood Soapbox that he believed there really was treasure underneath Blind Frog Ranch, left by either the Aztecs or by Spaniards, and that he would be disappointed to find out otherwise. He also insisted that finding the treasure was more important to his father than to him, but he was happy to be along for the advent before white settlers ever stepped foot in the Uinta Basin. The Ute tribe called the area home. The Utes spoke of a sacred valley, a place where the water ran thick with minerals, and animals behaved oddly. One tale, passed from shaman to scout, described a stream that bubbled from beneath a sandstone cliff. Near this stream, they claimed, lived frogs. Not ordinary frogs, but sightless ones. Pale as bone and eerily silent, these amphibians emerged from the underground springs only at twilight and vanished before dawn. To the Ute, this was a sacred omen. The frogs were said to be protectors, guardians of underground spirits or treasures, depending on the version of the story. No one hunted them. No one touched the water they came from. The blind frogs were a mystery left undisturbed. Chapter 2. The Spanish explorers journal in 1776, long before the American flag flew over Utah, two Spanish priests, Dominguez and Escalante, passed through the region in search of a route. With them was an obscure scout named Santiago Alvarez, a half-Mexican, half-native explorer with an insatiable curiosity for hidden places. Alvarez broke away from the group for 2 days and ventured into what is now known as the Uinta Basin. He returned looking shaken, clutching a crude leather journal filled with sketches. One showed an underground pool filled with pale creatures, frog-like in shape, yet grotesquely distorted. Beside it, he scrawled in Spanish, "Las ranas ciegas nos miran sin ojos. The blind frogs watch us without eyes." His journal disappeared after his death in Santa Fe, but some pages were copied by a Franciscan archivist. These eerie descriptions would surface centuries later when treasure hunters began poring through old colonial records for signs of Spanish gold. Chapter 3. The Cursed Miner of 1892. Fast forward to the silver boom of the late 19th century, when grizzled prospectors clawed at the desert hills in search of precious ore. One of these men was Jedediah Jed McGraw, a loner who staked a claim in what was then called Frog Hollow. Jed was convinced that veins of silver, and possibly Aztec treasure, lay hidden beneath the sandstone cliffs. For months, he blasted dynamite into the earth, carving out tunnels with reckless abandon. It's said that one day, he struck a strange cavity, an underground chamber filled with water and lined with smooth black stone. When he emerged that evening, he was ranting about the frogs. "They ain't got no eyes," he told the other miners, and they hummed at me. "Ain't no regular frogs down there." They laughed at him, at first, but days later, Jed vanished into his mine and never returned. A rescue crew descended and found his pickaxe lying beside the underground pool, along with a leather-bound journal waterlogged beyond repair. No body, no Jed. From then on, his mine was abandoned. Locals began calling it Blind Frog Mine, a ghost story to frighten children. Chapter 4. The ranchers cursing the 1950s. A family named Winslow bought the surrounding land to raise cattle. They renamed it Winslow Ranch and thought little of the legends, until the livestock began behaving erratically. Cattle would refuse to graze near the old mine. Horses grew skittish around certain rock formations, and according to family legend, their youngest son, Mikey, returned home one day with a jar full of pale, wriggling frogs. When his father asked where he'd found them, Mikey pointed to a bubbling creek near the base of the cliff and simply said, "They live down there, where it hums." Within a week, the frogs were dead, despite no obvious injuries, and not long after, Mikey began suffering from night terrors. He spoke in his sleep of tunnels, of whispering water, of the one with no eyes. They moved out in 1962. The ranch sat dormant for nearly 40 years. Chapter 5. Duane Ollinger's discovery. Enter Duane Ollinger, a former oil contractor with a dream of uncovering treasure and unlocking mysteries. When he purchased the land in the early 2000s, the legends were buried beneath layers of bureaucracy and cattle history. But the locals hadn't forgotten. When he told them which parcel of land he'd bought, an old gas station attendant chuckled and said, "So you're the new frog whisperer, huh? Hope they like you." Duane was intrigued. He began hearing the stories, some coherent, others wildly speculative. But one thread persisted: the blind frogs. Near a cave mouth where seismic activity had fractured the cliff, Duane found a bubbling spring. Tests showed high levels of rare minerals, geothermal activity perhaps. He also discovered something else. Tiny, bone-white amphibians, legless, translucent, and sightless, wriggling in the waterlogged rock. Not technically frogs, maybe not even a known species, but enough to ignite the legend. Rather than hide it, Duane embraced it. Blind Frog Ranch was born, not only as a name, but a brand, a mythology, a question mark that demanded an answer. Chapter 6. The legend lives today. Blind Frog Ranch is more than just a plot of land. It's a phenomenon. Thanks to the Discovery Channel show, millions have watched as Duane and his team dig deeper into the mystery, unearthing everything from ancient coins to carved stones, from radiation anomalies to bizarre electromagnetic fields. But no matter how far the story stretches into science fiction, the blind frogs remain the beating heart of the tale. They've become mascots and metaphors. The blind frogs symbolize the unknown, the unseen, the underground forces at play. They are both real and unreal, creatures that may have crawled out of a subterranean world to watch the surface with eyeless stares. Some believe they are mutants, products of mineral-rich waters and geothermal evolution. Others insist they are guardians of something far older, a buried civilization, perhaps, or a forgotten technology. Duane Ollinger, ever the pragmatist, keeps his theory close to the chest.